Welcome to another edition of the Cognitive Discourse. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that I myself never really had an issue with. Maybe I did have issues with it in the past, and I just never recognized it as that thing. And that being depression. I used to be on another podcast with a buddy of mine, and I remember doing an episode with him where we discussed depression, and he tried to explain it to me and whatnot. And at that time, I never really encountered mind-altering things. In my life, I've always been a very headstrong individual. So when things get a little hard and a little rough, I tend to just kind of fight through it and deal with it. As I've gotten older, certain things have happened in my life that have kind of broken me down and made me bare bones. And I really didn't know how to fix the situation. I've done an episode where we talked about fight or flight, and we have choices of fighting or running away, basically, from the issues. And I think growing up, a lot of the mental things, a lot of things that were negative in my life on a mental capacity, I tend to do the flight method. I tend to alleviate that stress, alleviate that depression, if you will, by just removing myself from those situations. Without going into too much detail, there's been a lot of things in my life that have altered that path. And there are things that I could walk away from, and I choose not to try to fix certain things and try to make things better. The problem with that is again, it's having to rely on someone else. I've done episodes where I've talked about, you can't really rely on other people. You got to do things for yourself. In this instance, the other person is vital to keep it going. But that mixed with COVID, mixed with just weird weather that we've been having here, and technology not working the way it's supposed to. Just there's a lot of obstacles that have kind of come into my path in the past year and a half. Since I've been doing this podcast, that have really there's always obstacles, there's always hurdles, there's always things that kind of challenge you, and I've always been one to take on the challenges, but after a while, there are certain things that just beat you down, and you become this person who doesn't feel like pushing on. Sometimes you hit that wall, and sometimes you're just like, I don't know if I can continue on. So that's kind of what's been going on with me in the past couple of months, is that I've been guessing it's the depression, that this is my own diagnosis, but just I had lack of initiative, a lack of motivation, a lack of willing to just do. I knew what needed to be done, and I just was like, I'll do it tomorrow. The procrastination just really took over, and yeah, man, I was in a good place, and I know where it started. So at the beginning of the year, I was booking shows. I was being a guest on a bunch of podcasts. I was trying to get guests on our podcast. I was networking with other podcasters, helping promote them. They were helping promote me. We just had a lot of stuff going on, and I was getting back into my music, and I was trying to stay busy. There's a lot of other things that I do behind the scenes other than this podcast that I'm trying to build. I have t-shirt brands that I'm trying to build. I have art projects that I'm doing. I have all kinds of shit that I'm doing that I'm really trying to get going, and there's other things that I plan on doing in the future, basically adding to the plate, and I'm just kind of trying to eventually kind of weave everything together and have everything under kind of one umbrella, and it takes a lot of work. So there are a lot of things I'm doing behind the scenes, but for a while there were times when I was just sleeping the whole fucking day. I just had no energy to do anything. I had no will to do anything, and I felt almost jaded. There were things about my personal world that I wasn't too excited about, and I let it fester, and I let it eat at me, and I let it tear me down and beat me over the head over and over and over and over again. And in February we had a snowstorm that came through, and that's unheard of in Texas. We got snow twice in 1 week. And that's also unheard of. We rarely get snow. The last time we got snow was when my daughter was 2, so like 2 or 3 years ago, we got snow, and it wasn't. I mean, it was gone by the morning. And then this February, we got so much snow that it stayed that whole week, and then we got pelted with more. We lost power. We were without a power for an entire week. And then our power came on, and then we were out of water for a whole week. And I mean, we're here in May, and the complex that I live in, they're still trying to get the shit right. Our water gets shut off periodically throughout the week, and there are times when I can't even take a shower or can't wash my kids, and they say it's only gonna be a couple hours, and turns out to be a 10-hour, water shut off, and it just happens like at least once a week. My laundry room, the walls were taken out because they were going to replace them, and they took the walls out. They haven't replaced it. So my washer and dryer is literally just sitting there in, bare naked. My neighbor can see into my patio, and I can see into his. And it's funny because there's holes in the walls of buildings, of our apartments. There's apartments that have holes in the ceilings and in the drywall, and they're still trying to put tenants in it. I mean, it's been a nightmare on that level. And then I have some stuff going on in my personal life that, it's just everything compounded at once. And so it was really, it was disheartening. It really killed the motivation. And then again, the political climate, the way people on social media are behaving with each other, it's just, there's so much hate and so much negativity that, the little bit of positivity and a little bit of light that I try to project, with the podcast and just my everyday life, it was really starting to kind of get overwhelmed, and that light became dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And it got to a point where I was just like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I do these podcasts for fun. I do my music for fun. But at the end of the day, I think at the same time, I had my mindset on, friends and family, helping me kind of promote this stuff. And I think that's where I fucked up, is like, I'm not really practicing what I preach in that aspect. And I think I need to really just step away from people. And, the ones that help me I won't forget about, and I definitely will keep close, wherever this endeavor takes me. But for everyone else, I'm just kind of, cold shoulder towards those people. And I think a lot of the political climate has kind of pushed people to think a certain way about me. And it's not an excuse. It's merely just my, the way I guess I'm assuming that that's the way things have kind of progressed over time. My views don't line up with a lot of people's, and so I think because of that, I've been casted out. Not that I had, a lot of close friends anyway. There are close friends that I have that are busy doing other things, and I understand that. I have friends that are, traveling out of town for work and stuff like that, and they have kids and they have families, and I understand all of that. And this isn't a woe is me kind of podcast, or episode. This is just me kind of coming to a realization. And one of the things with depression that I've noticed is, it's not just depressing. Let me fix that before I even go into it. Social media in general has proven to me that the majority of people on social media are not who they are in real life. Everybody puts up this persona, okay? And I've never been that way. Margaret, if you're listening to this, First of all, hello. And second of all, you're one of those people in my life that recognized that I don't put on that front. I'm a genuine person. The way I am on my podcast, the way I am on social media, that's how I am in real life. I don't try to pretend that I'm somebody that I'm not. I don't try to have fake relationship with people. If I'm into what you're doing and I call you a friend, then you are a friend. If I call you family, then in my eyes, you're family. I'm just a genuine person. I'm never going to tell you something. I'm never going to lie to you. Even if it's a white lie, I'm never going to sit there and say, hey man, I'm going to blow smoke up your ass, to make you feel better about yourself. That's not who I am. What I will do is I'll be honest with you, because again, I want the best for you. I want you to be the best version of yourself. So advice, even though sometimes it's not warranted, I give advice anyway. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people don't want to face who they truly are. A lot of people don't want to have those. It's basically the same, the real calling on real. Okay. Most people don't want that. As much as they say they want that, they don't want that. And the reason why I brought up Margaret was a perfect example. And I'm sorry if I brought up your name, if you didn't want your name being said, but on a positive note, I remember you leaving me a post years ago where you had said that. You had told me that you like that you can see the real me in social media. 'Cause you knew me as a kid. You knew me in a real life situation. I was friends with your daughter growing up, and you got to see me grow up. And when it transitioned into social media, you noticed that I was still the same person. The way I thought about things may have changed, but for the most part, I'm genuine. And I'm starting to see a lot of that in social media, the lack of that on social media. And I think that's really what's kind of been picking at me and causing my depression, causing me to just want to give up, because there's so much fakeness in the world. And I can't, I don't want to say I can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it no more. I won't deal with it no more. I'm tired of dealing with people who say one thing and they do the complete opposite. That's been tearing me down. That's been making me depressed. And the funny thing is where I'm getting at with this is there was a moment in time that I reached out to people. Not that I was going to harm myself. I wasn't going to do any of that. So I want to make that very clear. I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't going to put myself in a situation where I was going to take my own life. And I'm too important to my kids, and my kids are too important to me for me to ever do something like that. I've hit breaking points, but at the end of the day, my kids mean everything to me, and I'm here for them. But I put out a Facebook post. And I did that because I actually did need words of encouragement. I needed some positivity thrown my way. But it was also a test. In a sense of, I see people at least twice a week post on their Facebook for suicide prevention and mental health awareness, and all this all this anti-depression bullshit that they post on the social media. And I'm at the point where I feel like it's clout, man. People are doing this shit because they want to look good. It's fucking it annoys the shit out of me. I put out a post, and it wasn't so much saying that, like, I wasn't looking for sympathy. I wasn't trying to play a victim. I literally just said, hey man, I've been down lately mentally. I lack motivation. I could really use some positive, kind words, some positive energy sent my way to just kind of, boost my my positive chakra a little bit. And only like 2 or 3 people commented. And I even told them, I was like, do not like this post. If you're going to like this post, leave a comment. Now, I know some are going to use the excuse of like, well, the Facebook algorithm and blah, 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 blah. Nah. The only other thing I can think of is that people probably blocked me. Or they don't follow me no more on Facebook, but they're still my friends. And at that point, again, that further proves what I'm talking about with the fake shit. You could use the argument of, well, I don't like what you post, so that's why, I unfollowed you. I don't really care for the stuff that you're posting, but we're still friends. Well, no, because at the same time, like, you're an adult. You don't like what I'm posting, just keep scrolling. I don't like that Facebook has that feature. I feel like if you don't want to know what's going on and you don't want to see what I'm posting and be part of things that I find interesting, then unfriend me. That's what I do to people. If I get annoyed with somebody and I don't like what they're posting, or they're always talking shit, or they're always complaining about this or that, or they're always doing this, like if there's something I don't agree with, I just unfriend them. Funny thing is that I don't really unfriend people. I think in the history of my Facebook, I've unfriended maybe 3 or 4 people. But at the end of the day, people want to talk about depression and that people's lives matter, and you're a friend of mine and I care about you, and da 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 da. And then when people actually reach out, they're nowhere to be found. Now, on the other hand, I have seen people who have good friends and they do the same thing and their friends reach out to them. So I have seen the other side of it. And then that person burnt bridges. So I get the counter argument of like, well, sometimes you do reach out to people and they kind of shit all over you. So I understand that. On me, on a personal level, I don't know. I guess I wish I would have got what that person got, as far as people actually caring and reaching out. Now, don't get me wrong. There were a few people that reached out to me, and for that, I'm thankful. And one of those people, we had that discussion. We talked about it, about how funny it is that people will talk about, depression hotlines, and if you feel like you're going to do something stupid, reach out to a friend, and blah, 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 this and that. And those same people who do that stuff are nowhere to be found. Now, I don't know if this is coming off sounding like I'm complaining or like I'm being ranty or if I'm trying to play a victim, because that's not what it is. Again, it's just merely an observation. I've thought about getting rid of my personal social media because I'm tired of dealing with fake people. And then in a way, I'm like, well, I got to get used to it because I'm trying to get into the entertainment industry. If I hate fake people now, I'm going to lose my mind in the entertainment industry. And I'm actually going to do an episode about that where I talk about some of my experiences with the podcast world. I don't know if it's going to come before this or come after. If it came out before this, then you've probably already heard it. But that's one of my other episodes that I had in mind. But yeah, I don't really want to make this episode too long. Just know that I am in a better place. Things are starting to finally look up and go my way, the way I want them to. Of course, I have to make that happen. And that's what I want you to take from this, is that if you are somebody who is dealing with that and you're at your lowest point right now, know that it gets better. Know that, the best remedy is yourself. Like, go outside, walk around, get some sunshine, reflect, and find out who you are, and find the things that make you happy, and just jump face first into those things. Find what makes you happy and consume yourself in those things. Try to find people who have similar ideas and think similarly. But don't rely on those people. Um, you really can only rely on yourself. But yeah, there are a few people in my camp, and my camp has gotten smaller after realizing a lot of this stuff. And to the people that out there who, still support me, who still on a regular basis listen to these episodes, and know me on a personal level, know that I love you with all my heart, and know that you will always have a spot in my camp. For listeners who don't know me, who just stumbled upon the podcast, hey man, thanks for listening. I really do appreciate all this stuff. I'm not a numbers guy. I don't really care about numbers. I check them once a week just to see where I'm at. But for the most part, I do these as it's therapy for me, man. I don't have a therapist that I go talk to. So with that being said, like if you're listening to this and you're battling depression or you have, negative energy in your life, then if you want to write in, go for it. If you want to just write to me, you don't want me to put you on the show, then that's fine too. Just let me know. You can email me at cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com, and we could be email pals. I don't mind just emailing back and forth, but just make that known, because if you write to me and you don't tell me that, if I end up sharing it on the podcast, I don't want you to get mad at me for that. Because again, if you ask questions and I can answer the questions on the show, your questions may be something that somebody else has, and it could possibly help someone else. But if you're just looking for somebody to talk to, I'm always there to listen, and I can give advice the best I can. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I've lived a pretty interesting life, and I have a pretty interesting view on things. So I'm willing to talk with you and build connections. That's ultimately what I want, man. I want to build connections. I want to build a community, and I want to find people who are willing to live and want to live a positive life, who are tired of all the hate, who are tired of being jaded, who are tired of being angry all the time. I know I am. And, I want to be better. I want to be a happy person. I want my kids to see the Joseph that I love. So if you need to talk to someone, if you have any questions, if you want me to share your story on the podcast, email me at cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to do either of those things. If you have a friend that has been distant lately, just reach out to them. Send them a text. Send them an email. Send them a PM on Facebook, Instagram. Hey man, haven't heard from you in a while. How's it going? Like I said, I understand that people work and stuff. People have lives. I get that. But with everything going on, man, there's a dark cloud over everybody right now. People are tired of being locked up. People are tired of not being able to work. People are tired of having their freedoms taken away from them. And it's wearing down on a lot of us. And if you're one of those people who genuinely likes to go and help other people, I thank you. We need more people like that. But if you're doing it just for clout, and you're doing it with the mindset of, what can I get out of this? You're doing it all for the wrong reasons, and shame on you. Maybe you should do some soul searching. And I'm talking about even the people on YouTube that made that shit popular, where they go out and they give homeless people money and they feed the homeless and all that stuff. Dude, that's great. But you don't need to film it. What's your alternative motive for doing what you're doing? To get views. What happens when you get views? You get sponsorships. You get paid. So ultimately, are you doing it because you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart? Or are you doing it because you're getting something out of the deal? All I want and all I'm asking is for people to be genuine. If you're a piece of shit, own it. But with that, follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group, The Cognitive Discourse. Follow us on Instagram. Check out my band, Among War. We have a YouTube page. We're also on Spotify and all of your streaming platforms, iTunes, Pandora. I think we're on iHeart. We're on a bunch of those. Same thing with The Cognitive Discourse. We have a YouTube page if you would like to go there. Just type in The Cognitive Discourse. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, again, you can always email me at cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com. Or if you join the Facebook group, it's an open forum there, so you can post anything you want. All I ask is that you don't be a dick, don't be a troll. But if you have a question on there and you want to get some dialogue going there, you can always join the group and we can talk there. Other than that, you guys have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. And until next time.